Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Ajawi TV, where we discuss architectural and construction related topics. I'm your host, I'm Ajawi, and guys, today we'll be having a discussion around the Build with Ajawi series. This is episode 2 of the series of this season, so this is season 2, episode 2, and we'll be discussing how the project is progressing, what are the steps that we're taking to ensure that the project is executed within a timely manner and with less hassle to our client. All right. If you would like information on how you can do construction in Jamaica while you're living overseas, this is the channel for you. All right. You can also visit our website, ajawiconstruction.com, where you can book a consultation with us to speak about your particular project. We are always here to help, and it would be our pleasure to speak about your particular project. All right, so without any further ado, let's get into this video. Alright guys, so we're at episode 2, alright? What has been happening for the project? As I said in episode 1, we've actually done all the necessary applications to the local authorities and we have gotten an approval, right? Now, what's interesting about this project is that it is a renovation of an existing structure. And part of the existing structure was not approved before, and what we have done is gone ahead and get that approved by preparing a drawing, an existing building drawing, and submitting those drawings to the parish council to get an approval for the existing building in its entirety. So point 1 is to note is that if you have already constructed a building, you can actually get it approved by submitting as-built drawings to the parish council seeking approval. All right, so I want you to take that away from this project. So what has been happening for the project? Firstly, or secondly, because I gave you the first point already. Secondly, insurance. For every project, it is important to get insurance for your construction site to ensure that if anything happens on the site, the workers are covered, or the client, the liability on the client, is protected, or the client has employer's liability insurance. All right. So that is a particular aspect of construction that is very important. If you have a construction site running, if it is that something happens to any of the workers while the construction is taking place and they're on the site, then you as the client or the employer is liable, right? Now, with that insurance, there are certain responsibilities that fall on the client's lap or on the contractor or the project administrator or contract administrator. In particular, you have to ensure that workers know the implications of not wearing proper PPE gears. And in Jamaica, that is a very big issue because generally workmen do not like to wear PPEs. They claim that it is uncomfortable. They claim that it make them hot, it make them sweat, them can't do them job in it. If there is a reason out there, trust me, they will find it and tell you, right? They will find a reason to tell you why they don't want to wear it. But it all comes back down to they're just unruly, right? Workmen, construction workers in Jamaica, they don't necessarily follow rules, right? Now, as the project personnel, as the contractor, as the contract administrator, as the designer, it is important that you ensure that you have proper signage in giving instructions as it relates to PPE gears. So you want to put up at the entrance of your project, once you put up your hoarding, right, you make sure that you put up a sign that indicates that they must wear PPE gears on the site, right? And you must inform them that they must wear PPE gears. You can go as far as terminating some of them if it is that they do not comply. So you have to let them know that, hey, if you do not wear PPE gears on this site, you will be terminated. If something happens to you while you're not wearing PPE gears and you have been told that, hey, you need to wear PPE gears, then we as a client, we're not liable for your injury. And as a matter of fact, you need to leave the site. I've been on sites where workmen are on the site with slippers. I don't know why they do it, but it's something that it is very dangerous. Nails are on the site and they can step on it at any moment in time. Something can fall and drop on their foot. You're supposed to be wearing proper hard boot. It's just very difficult to get them to wear it. So every time I go on a site and I see that happening, I let them know, hey, you cannot be working on the site in slippers, and I always tell them to go and put on a shoes, right? I remember one particular site I went on and the workman said that they got an injury on the foot and they didn't take care of it, right? So why do we ask them to wear shoes other than the fact that they will get injured? It's because nails, right? If you don't get tetanus shot, excuse my pronunciation if I'm not pronouncing it properly, but if you don't get your necessary shots, it can poison you and you can end up losing your entire foot. So stepping on a nail, and I think the reason why I am so adamant about this particular topic is because it has happened to me before. When I was a child, I was at home and rain was falling and I jumped up to close a window because I was outside. I was in the country. Jump up to close a window because of the rain and stepped on a nail and it went right through my foot, right? And I had to end up at the hospital, almost lost my foot. So I always tell workmen, hey, wear proper PPE gears. I'll give you an example, another example. We did an inspection the other day, recently actually, on this same project, and went there and the foreman, well, it was early in the morning, but he should still have on his hard hat. Didn't have on his hard hat, and I'm talking to him about the hard hat. And as I am talking about it, one of the props that they use to hold up the form for the decking, it actually shifted and fell, almost hitting him in the head. And I'm there talking to him, and I'm like, you see, this is exactly what I'm talking to you about. You need to be wearing your PPE gears. So your foremen need to set an example for the rest of the workmen to always wear their proper PPE gears. So that's one thing that I want you to take away from this episode. Ensure that proper signage are there and people wear their PPE gears, right? I'm going to show you an example of a sign that we did. We are actually in the process of printing or having a facility where people can print signage, or that's one area that we're going in as it relates to Ajawi printing. So there's Ajawi construction and there's Ajawi printing, and Ajawi printing will be printing signage, construction signs. We're going to be printing the widest 24 inches, but length, you know, that can be anything because the roll will allow us to print any length sign all right? So we'll print, laminate, and you can be able to put up on your site. The sign that I'm going to show you, we actually did it ourselves, all right? So that's one thing that we went through. Overall, I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased with this particular site because the contractor is doing a really good job, right? The way how he executes the project, the mannerism, the professionalism that is there, I can appreciate this particular contractor. I won't say the contractor's name now, because you need to contact us, right? Yeah. So his team is really executing well. So he's taking the project to a level of professionalism that I really appreciate. All right. Another aspect of construction is that during construction you will have certain details or clarification needed by the contractor. I must note that when you get your drawings for construction, the drawings does not have every single detail, every single material on it. So during construction, you will need some amount of back and forth between the designer and the contractor and the client, right? So this process is very important. So when you have a drawing done, you need to actually stay in touch with your designer, right? And there is some amount of fees after the contract phase or during the contract, right? So you will find that during the construction, certain areas may need clarification, and those details should be sent, or you can request them from your designer. So for us, the contractor actually uncovered or took off the roof, and there were certain details that he needed. He calls on a regular basis to get those details sent to him. And normally what I do, I go on my computer, pull up the drawings, extract those details, because we work with a 3D model instead of 2D drawings. We work with a 3D model, so any little detail that he will want or will request, it's already there. So normally I just pull up the drawings and just pull out those details and send to him. In particular, there was a connection between the garage and the entryway or living space, and the contractor or the foreman called to ask about that particular detail, and I was able to pull up those details, look at it, and then send it back to him. Certain measurements on your drawings must be verified on site, so keep that in mind. So when you get a drawing, you must understand that every single measurement must be verified on site, right? Because though the designer may go through and pick up as much details as possible, when it comes on to changes during the construction and being hands-on in the field, those measurements sometimes may have been overlooked, or some measurements may not have been taken at all, right? Which is understandable. So during construction, this is important to have the design team on board and to verify measurements during the construction. Normally, when I visit the site, the foreman would ask questions on site, and then what I do when I come back to my office, I will then remind them of the conversation that we had by sending them details, sending those discussions within our report, just so that we are on the same page, and to remind him of what we had actually discussed. So this week we had actually discussed the decking from the carport that moves into the living space, and how that connection will be, and how will that threshold between those two spaces be constructed, right? So that was discussed. So when I came back to office, I actually prepared a detail for that, sketch it out, re-look at it, and then send it back to him. In one instance, there was a detail that was called out on site. So for example, there was a wall that was about 6 inches off, on site. So there's an existing wall, right? On drawing, I have it to be demolished because we're pushing out that space a little, just to close it off, right? And when I went on site, the contractor pointed out that, hey, you know, this wall is at this position. I don't think we should move it out to that position because, you know, 8 inches is not going to kill us, right? But on site, I was like, oh, okay, all right, cool. Yeah, 8 inches is not that much, not going to really kill us. All right, no problem. When I came back to office, right, re-looked at the drawing, looked back at the model, see how the connections were on, as it relates to the design, and actually, you know, turn the model to look at it from different perspectives. And I realized that that simple change of 8 inches not only affected that single wall, but it also affected things above, right? So though we're on the ground floor, on the ground, looking at it and say, hey, well, that's 6 inches, though it seems so minor, when we actually look above, because there's a clear story window above, when that wall is not positioned properly, that affected that entire clear story, right? And also affected the bedroom beside it. So I had to then ensure that I center detail. I pointed out the actual issue with not adjusting that wall to make it what it's supposed to be. Because after that, he had actually called me and said, hey, you know that because of that wall, the window in the other bedroom is going to be affected, and we just want to push over that window so it is accommodated based on the shift. But the thing is, that was an existing veranda that was there that I don't know how that wall was constructed, if it was constructed properly. So we wanted a proper wall, proper column at that location, and to just align it properly so that when you're looking at it from the courtyard space, it is a cleaner look, right? So that change would have messed up all of that. Just that one change would have affected everything else. And besides, it was already accounted for within the bill of quantities. So not moving that wall would have saved the contractor, but at the end of the day, it would have messed up everything, right? So it would have saved the contractor a little money, you know, and he would be able to keep that money in his pocket. But at the same time, it would cause a problem as it relates to the client and the finished product, right? So we have to keep that in mind when we're doing construction. Consult with your drawings as the designer, as the consultant, as the contract administrator. Don't just make decisions on site and that's it. Review those decisions once you get back to office. Relook at your model, relook at your drawings, and then confirm those decisions that you made on site. All right? So I hope this episode is informative. I know you're probably liking the videos, the drone footage, and the walkthrough. So if you believe that this video has given you a little bit more confidence to do construction while living overseas, hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs up. And remember, we have Ajawi construction and we have Ajawi printing. Ajawi printing does printing, large format prints for architects, engineers, contractors, homeowners looking to do construction. As long as it is in relation to printing drawings, Ajawi printing will facilitate, right? It doesn't matter if you have done drawing with us or not. We will print your drawings for you and print it in a timely manner. We open from 8 to 9 conditionally, 8 to 4 regularly, right? If it is that we have a project doing as it relates to printing, then if we want to get it out within a timely manner, then we'll work up to 9 o'clock. All right, so yeah. And if you need signs for your construction site, link us and we will prepare, print and laminate your signs for you so that you can put them up on your construction site. All right, I must say thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for hitting that like button. Thank you for hitting the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we make videos just like this one. All right, peace out. I'll see you next episode. All right.